Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Ben, for that kind introduction, and I'm so honored to be here today and to be part of this extraordinary Parsons community. As a mom, I especially want to thank all of the parents, families, and friends. I know what this moment is like. The journey has been long, the emotions have run high. But look at this remarkable group of young people. Maybe you're all a little bleary-eyed from celebrating all weekend, but you are so talented, creative, and ready to take on the world. To the class of 2024, congratulations. 4 years ago, many of you were just finishing high school and preparing for your first year at Parsons. I remember that liminal time and all the feelings that come with it: excitement, nerves, and most of all, possibility. To have that so abruptly interrupted by the pandemic was heartbreaking. And yet you all found a way, and I know it wasn't easy. Your generation has faced unprecedented change. Once again, you find yourselves graduating during a moment of real turmoil, division, and war that has affected campuses across the country, including this one. It feels chaotic for all of us. There is so much we can't control. But we have to find some kind of resolve and balance amid the chaos. In fact, all of these challenges are actually preparing you for the future. Whether it's the circumstances that life hands you or your own desire to take a different path, change is inevitable, and evolution is essential. In life, as in fashion, nothing ever stays the same, and change never gets any easier. We just get stronger, more resilient, and more capable of standing up to it. But it's one thing to just put up with change. It's when we know who we are and what we value that we can actually embrace change. We can carve our own path and write our own rules so no one can put us in a box. It starts with the most critical work you will do as you embark on this new chapter. It isn't just getting a job, and I see the panic in many of your parents' eyes. Yes, getting a job is very important. But you also need to get to know yourself. What makes you excited to start the day? What stimulates your curiosity? What do you care about truly and deeply? When we know ourselves, we become the best version of ourselves. This is what gets us through difficult times and keeps us grounded through change. But knowing who you are doesn't happen overnight, and it took me a lot of time. You already have a head start with your incredible Parsons education. At your age, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I grew up on a farm in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, and to be clear, my parents were not farmers. We did have a menagerie of animals, and my mother grew organic vegetables and flowers. I have this vivid memory of her in the garden wearing ballet flats and my father driving an enormous tractor in a pink shirt. Their style was one of a kind, and in fact, they were the original inspiration for our company. However, I didn't always follow their elegant example. As a student at the University of Pennsylvania, my style was eclectic at best, haphazard at worst. I remember Grateful Dead t-shirts with vintage silk scarves, patchwork jeans, questionable hair choices. It was the late 80s. I studied art history, which I loved, but I knew more than anything, I just wanted to work. I wanted to be independent, and I wanted to discover the world. And of course, I wanted to move to New York City. I sent out dozens of resumes, I wrote all kinds of notes, I even made cold calls, including one to a fashion designer named Zoran. Within days of graduating, I became his assistant. My job involved a little bit of everything: taking notes, packing boxes, working with celebrity clients, getting coffee, or in Zoran's case, 10 in the morning vodka. He let me listen in on fabric meetings, and I watched him cut and drape perfect garments with a single seam, a hallmark of his less is more philosophy. The learning curve was steep, and it was a crash course in the business of fashion. But I loved being challenged, and my own point of view was starting to come into focus. That opportunity led to others. I learned how to produce a photo shoot at Harper's Bazaar, the art of storytelling at Ralph Lauren, PR at Vera Wang, and beautiful craftsmanship at Loewe with Narciso Rodriguez. These were incredible companies, but after 15 years of learning on the job and a few years raising my young boys, I knew I wanted to build something of my own. Entrepreneurs don't always admit this, so I want to tell you the honest truth. It was excruciating. Brilliant, but excruciating. It's one thing to have an idea and work on image books. It's a very different thing to take the plunge, to sign on the dotted line, hire a team, and shift your entire life towards a crazy dream. You take so many risks, personal, financial, emotional, and the challenges you face are impossible to predict. Every day is like whack-a-mole. You solve one problem and then another pops up. That's especially true when you're doing things differently and breaking the norm. We started with a full lifestyle collection, one boutique, no wholesale partners, and a website. And even when everyone was telling me no one would ever buy online. This was in 2004. We were working 14-hour days out of my apartment, with my 3 little boys at my feet, usually stealing all of our supplies. And most nights, I fell asleep on the phone with our production team at 3 in the morning. Yet, the media dismissed me as a socialite designer with a vanity project. A journalist once described me as a delicate blonde with a baked Alaska tone. I still don't know what that means. And in the same interview, he asked if I was ambitious, which back then was considered to be an insult towards a woman. People asked me if I bothered going into the office, as if my only contribution was putting my name on the door. And at business summits, I was introduced not as a CEO, but as a female CEO. There's perception and reality. And as my mother always told me, negativity is noise. But that doesn't mean it didn't affect me. Whether you choose to start a business or not, there will be extraordinary highs and extraordinary lows. People will have all kinds of opinions about you, especially on social media. Thanks to the filters and the curated algorithm, our feeds are a constant scroll of people who seem to have a perfect life, a perfect body, a perfect family, an exceptional career. And what I have to say to that, that's fake news. But it still can make us feel like we're not enough. At times, it's tempting to give in to other people's doubts. But when we do that, our dreams quietly evaporate. You have to thicken your skin and be resilient. And you need to know yourself and have conviction. Your sense of who you are will become a shield against whatever life throws your way. Which brings me to my next point. Never be afraid of change. As the years went on and our company grew, running the business quickly took over my day-to-day. I was splitting my time between spreadsheets and sketch reviews, traveling all over the world, going to board meetings, and I felt like I was pulled in a million directions. It was one thing to be a left and right brain thinker, but this was extreme. And I wanted to get back to what I truly loved, and that was design. I spent years looking for a CEO. And in 2019, after quite a lot of convincing, we finally brought in the right person. My husband, Pierre-Yves Roussel. He was the CEO of LVMH. Pierre-Yves coming on board gave me time and space to rethink absolutely everything. As much as I loved our collections, I was not the same person that I was in 2015, or even 2004, and certainly not 1994. It was time to evolve, to take risks, and to challenge myself, and hopefully challenge and inspire others as well. COVID hit just as I was starting to reinvent the company, and the only silver lining was the gift of time. Time for me to look within, reflect on the essence of what we stand for, and redesign almost every product we make. Our collections have become truly personal as a result, but they actually aren't about me. They reflect how I see other women and how I see the world. We were always more than ballet flats and totes, and now it is gratifying to see that people are seeing us in a new light. Today, you are a proud Parsons graduate, but this achievement will not define you for the rest of your life. There will be so much more to you that you can possibly imagine. Throughout your life and career, you will need space and time, and give yourself that. Welcome it. It won't be easy, but when you do the hard work of embracing change, you get to live on your own terms. You get to be the designer and editor of your life. And when you tune out the noise, what you find is your true purpose. And this is what I want to leave you with today. Since I was little, I was always affected by inequality and injustice I saw in the world. I even saw it with my own mother. She's truly my hero, and she never had the opportunity to reach her full potential. But she always said to me, "You're Tory Robinson, and you can do anything." She and my dad treated me the same as my three brothers, and it never crossed my mind that others wouldn't. But when I started my career, and especially when I started my company, it was a very different story. Supporting women's equality became my goal. It became my business plan. And from day one, my concept was to build a global brand so I could start a foundation for women, a business driven by purpose. I knew from experience that entrepreneurship was where I could create the most impact. Women face real inequities when it comes to starting a business, from almost zero venture funding to male-dominated networks. So in 2009, we established our foundation to expand access to capital, education, and community to women entrepreneurs. Our purpose makes us a better company, and it has sustained me through all of the ups and downs. Even on my toughest days, I feel better knowing that we're helping women follow their dreams. And it's actually much bigger than that, because when women are empowered, everyone benefits, and that's powerful motivation. What is so inspiring about your generation is that you are finding and living your purpose a lot sooner than mine. Over the years, I've been fortunate to work with so many students and graduates. I am in awe of your creativity, your intellect, and your commitment to making our industry and our world better. Fashion is always recycling trends and decades, but you aren't preoccupied with the past. You are looking forward, and you make me hopeful about the future. You are about to leave Parsons and enter a world that's a bit less forgiving than college. There will be no assignments to check off, no professors to give you feedback, and what happens next is entirely up to you. My advice for you is to resist being swept up in a false sense of urgency. Take your time to discover who you are so you can live a life that is authentically your own. A life where you aren't defined by other people's ideas of who you are or who you should be. A life that you design and edit on your terms. A life driven by a deep purpose, one that empowers you to build a future worthy of your dreams. I know I speak for all of us when I say we cannot wait to see what you do next. Congratulations.